What up, folks? Once again, it's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Yeah, you're right. You saw the title. Omicron is bullshit. And yes, I am a liberal, still a liberal through and through. But I'm really starting to sympathize with the anti-vax crowd, those who are doing their own research and those who are deciding to stay unvaccinated. And I got a million ways to tell you that. But before we get into the video, I'm going to ask that you do what I always ask you to do. Go ahead and show your boy some love. Hit that subscription button. Click on the bell so you know when I'm dropping these gems. You like what I got to say? Feel free to hit the like. I love that. And if you don't, hit the dislike button. But let me know in the comments what the hell you disliked. I'm definitely going to say Omicron. It's just bullshit. This vaccination thing is looking more and more like BS. And I'm totally starting to sympathize with those who are anti-vaxxers. Now, let me be candid. I've had 2 shots of Moderna and I have had the booster shot. So why the hell am I saying this? It's because it looks like it's going to keep going on and on and on and on. The vaccine was created, just a year ago? And already we up to 3 fucking shots and they're already talking about the potential for another one. So for the anti-vax crowd who says that shit doesn't work or you don't need it, I can't speak on that because I'm no virologist. I don't have a fucking medical degree. But at the same time, I will say that the boogie monster, the arrival of the boogie monster is questionable. We were told that there were going to be, people dying all over the damn place and things like that. And there was a high death toll for COVID early on. But that shit is just not happening now. I'm sure it's happening in small circles and places like that. But for the most part, the unvaccinated are not dying at ridiculous rates. Yeah, there's some that are dying. And there are reports that most of the people dying of COVID are unvaccinated. However, with the survival rate of COVID being so fucking high, it's not even Russian roulette to not get vaccinated. And it looks like once you've caught COVID and survived it, which you have a high chance of surviving, the likelihood of you catching it again is pretty low. So, like I said, it's not even Russian roulette. I mean, the chances of you coming out okay and being unvaccinated are pretty high. So I can totally understand at this point, with us being a year into this, I can totally understand and sympathize with those now who are remaining unvaccinated. So why the hell did I get vaccinated? Well, like I said, I do not have a medical degree. I don't fucking know any better. I'm going to go with the science. That's what us liberals do. I understand a lot of my audience is right wing. You guys don't believe in fucking climate change. You don't believe in a lot of polls. You don't believe in science as much as we do. Now, that's not to say that you're always wrong. It certainly ain't to say that you're always right. However, in this case, like I said, I do not have a medical degree. And if my physician tells me that he or she recommends something that is better for my health, I'm going to go with that. Otherwise, why the fuck would I have a doctor in the first place? I can just take my own chances and prescribe my own shit, become a street pharmacist, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, 2 shots of Moderna and I've had the booster shot. Now, I will say, on the other hand, for those who have been vaccinated, including myself, I have not felt any side effects. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because I know there's some folks out there who believe shit like the vaccinated people are receiving poison, fucking magnets and microchips, and they're going to die. That's the deep end of the right. I believe that shit's crazy, but I will invite any of those out there who are watching this, post a story. Tell me about somebody that they found a microchip in their arm, or motherfucker walks by metal and it all of a sudden sticks to his arm, because he got a magnet. If you know some shit like that, come holler at your boy. But I don't think that there's much of that. I think that they took it way to the extreme. And once again, I kind of understand it because I've been debating with the right for so long, and I've been tuning into right-wing media, right-wing outlets. I understand that right-wingers have a real distrust for government. That's the whole reason behind the Second Amendment and a host of other issues. So I understand the right-wing have a real solid distrust for government. So when the government starts saying that you should get a vaccine, you should get vaccinated or start mandating that shit, the first response is to push back and to counter it because you don't like the fucking government. So I can understand that 100%. Not that I agree with it because I'm still the fucking handsome liberal, but I do understand it. And that is the reason why I drop these videos, because my target audience is right wing. I prefer by far to talk to right wingers. I like to have a civilized debate, and at the end of the day, maybe we could actually enlighten each other on some shit instead of just cussing each other out and calling each other names. That's what has been taking place for the last 5 to 10 years in America, whereas the parties can no longer talk to each other. I'm trying to do just the opposite. And my viewership is growing in the comments. Yeah, I'm getting more people who are willing to have a damn conversation as opposed to just calling me a fucking idiot. So that's the goal of the channel. We'll make another video about that. But in regards to this Omicron thing, yeah, I think it's getting to the point where I'm starting to sympathize with those who criticize Fauci or criticize the CDC or the WHO or some of these groups. And it's not, like I said, it's not because I got some kind of medical background. It's just because the information keeps changing rather quickly. Now, I do realize that this is a novel virus, a novel disease, or whatever you want to call it, and it's new. So we are learning things on the fly. However, you got to release information that remains consistent. And this shit just can't keep changing from day in and day out. Now we're with the Omicron or whatever this Greek letter they're using. Now we're banning travel from South Africa. So countries down, not South Africa, but the southern portion of the continent of Africa. So South Africa is a country in that, but there's other countries down there too that there's banned travel to and from, because apparently that's where this shit is coming from. My first take on this is that there are going to be continuing variants of this shit probably for the next few years or more. So you're going to be getting shot all over the place, and that's what's really turning people off. My second comment I would really wonder is, if this was not derived from China, we would probably have went to war with that country. If Iran, if the coronavirus came from Iran, my guess is the United Nations, NATO, or someone would have busted into Iran and tore their fucking labs apart to find out what the hell exactly went on. But because it's China, there's not a lot we can do. But regardless if it was a mistake, an accident, developing biological weapon that got out of hand, or whatever the hell you want to call it, this is a colossal fuck up, folks. I mean, you're talking around the world, even though the survival rate is extremely high, you're talking millions of people that have died, and probably $1 trillion, if not more, of dollars in revenue around the world has been lost from closing shit up, jobs, businesses, whole industries that have just collapsed. I mean, I'm a big fan of going to the movies. That industry is destroyed because of COVID-19. I don't believe the movie industry is ever going to come back. And that's just a small one-time industry. I'm sure there are loads of industries you guys can put in the comments. Some of you guys may have lost your jobs, or certainly are seeing a reduction in pay, or your earnings are down, or whatever the case may be because of COVID. I was over-the-road driver when this shit took off, and yeah, moving freight and things like that all but stopped. So yeah, it's been an act of war, so to speak. And like I said before, if this had not came from China and it had came from a smaller country, I would suspect that smaller country would have been invaded, just from the simple size of the fuck up. But anyway, going back to this, like I said, I'm starting even as a liberal to sympathize with the anti-vaxxers, because the information just keeps changing from day to day. They're constantly poking needles in arms. Like I said, right as of now, I got my first 2 shots with Moderna in April. Moderna in April of 2021, and I had my 3rd shot a few weeks ago, November of 2021. So far, I've had virtually no side effects. The 2nd shot had me kind of, a little bit weak for 24 hours after getting it, but for the most part, nothing else. So I haven't fucking dropped dead or any of that shit you normally hear coming from the right. But at the same time, how many shots am I going to need? I mean, that's where it's beginning to make me sympathize with the right, is because it keeps going on, and it does not look like there's any end to it. And week after week, Dr. Fauci or someone from the CDC is on TV telling us something that is different from what they told us last week or last month or the month before that. And yeah, the inconsistency or the changing stories, yeah, it makes me wonder, do they really know what the hell they're talking about? I'm not a virologist, I'm not a medical professional, so at this point I'm still trusting the science, but maybe they should sit down, chill for a minute, have more meetings, come up with a consistent statement, and then release that shit and spread those statements out, maybe 5 or 6 months. Don't say shit for 5 months. Figure out something you're going to get together and say a unified statement, because this is what was happening under Trump. You know, he'd get on TV with Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci would say all this shit. Then he'd go have a rally and his whole audience is yelling, fire Dr. Fauci. And he's not saying shit about that. Then tomorrow he's back on TV with the guy. So it's an inconsistent statement. And that's what's happening right now, is this same dude, Dr. Fauci, is still releasing these statements. And I'm still trusting the science, but like I said, that trust is starting to waver. But yeah, he's still releasing changing fucking statements as the time goes on. So what do you guys think? I'm pretty certain that most of my audience that are on the right are going to be like, fuck the virus, fuck the vaccine. Most of you guys have not been vaccinated. But do I have any right-wingers out there that are watching this that have been vaccinated? And if you've been vaccinated, what about the booster shot? Have you received a booster shot? And if, in regards to the booster shot, what about Omicron? Does any of this shit have you concerned anymore? Are you wearing masks when you go into public places? If you have been vaccinated, do you feel comfortable going around without a mask? Now, if you've chosen not to get vaccinated, do you still feel comfortable walking around everywhere with a mask off or on or whatever the case may be? Anyway, drop a comment. I just wanted to come at you on this because this shit is starting to even piss off some of us liberals because it's going on and fucking on. So we'll see what happens. Right now we're with the Greek letter O, Omicron. Who knows? Maybe next time it'll be the beta virus or the fucking omega virus or some other letter. We'll see what happens. What do you think? What is the chances of another variant coming out within the next 6 months? It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I will catch you in the next video.